Now we can get into science news because there's been some strange headlines in the world of science. It just shows you how, and just to demonstrate how bad science reporting actually is. You'll appreciate this story as well, Sam. This is a very Sam show. Like this is like your sense of humor. So, this is the headline. A top scientist admits that a space telescope image was actually a slice of chorizo. Right? You can see it there if you scroll down. You can see the tweet. You see it there.
But
Look.
yeah, but the way they've painted him, as if he was trying to like lie to people. There's no way he did that as a joke, right? I mean, I'm looking at it, but you didn't have to tell me. But
Yeah, exactly. Like, but he says he did tweet out that it is a photo of Proxima Centauri, the closest star to the sun, located 4.2 light years from us. This level of detail, a new world is revealed day after day. Then when he did a follow-up tweet, he said, it's time for the aperitif because cognitive bias seems to have a field day. Beware of them. According to contemporary cosmology, no object belonging to Spanish charcuterie exists anywhere but on Earth. So he did later admit that.
Yeah, so he has just goofed you, like.
But like people were just uncritically repeating it and sharing it. And the thing is, like, I don't know, like, because obviously I know it's a chorizo, right? I know it is, and it looks like a delicious slice of chorizo. Like, it really does. You can see the paprika and the fat. Yeah, it makes you want it, right? But obviously, like, if a scientist just presented it to me and said, "Will you look at this? We'll look at Proxima Centauri." I don't know if I'd be fooled, like, because I don't know. I've never really looked through a telescope,
Nah, I can even see where like it looks like he's photoshopped around the edge. You can see like the white around the edge of the image, but like I think I'd figure out that's a treat. So I mean, obviously now I've been told there's no way to know, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can never know if you'd be one of the idiots now. It's easy to sit here and go, lol.
Yeah, now I know.
yeah, but exactly. But like, I like to think I'm like you. I like to think that I would have gone. Like, put it this way, I would have. Because also he said it looks like a chorizo. Like.
He said it's the nearest star to the sun, right? Isn't that what the translation was?
Yes.
Yeah, the nearest star to the sun. So there's no way the whole background be black, but that's not what you know what I mean. I don't think that's how it works.
What if the telescope has a special, like,
I don't know. Maybe it would be. I don't know.
Like a telly.
It's chorizo, but I
know it is.
I can't look past it now.
We are overanalyzing that it is a chorizo, like, but it is. Anyway, I'll read you the story. A French scientist has apologized, right?
As if he'd have to come out and say sorry, like
after tweeting a photo of a slice of chorizo, claiming it was an image of a distant star taken by the James Webb Space Telescope. Etienne Klein, a celebrated physicist and director at France's Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission, by the way. Don't cancel this guy. We're gonna need him. Like 100%. Like, don't cancel this guy. Shared the image of the spicy Spanish sausage on Twitter last week, praising the level of detail it provided. Then it reads the tweet. The post was retweeted and commented upon thousands of users by thousands of users who took the scientist at his word. Things, however, were not quite as they seemed. The deception. Klein admitted later in a series of follow-up tweets that the image was, in fact, a close-up of a slice of chorizo taken against the black background. After facing a backlash from members of the online community for his prank, he wrote, in view of certain comments... He's apologizing for chorizo. I can't believe this is the world we live in. In view of certain comments, I feel obliged to specify that this tweet showed an alleged picture of Proxima Centauri and it was a joke. Let's learn to be wary of the arguments from positions of authority as much as the spontaneous eloquence of certain images. On Wednesday, Klein apologized for the hoax, saying his intention was to urge caution regarding images that speak.
No, it wasn't, but you were just making a joke. You haven't got to go that far. But to say, I took a picture of a fucking chorizo, but what's wrong with it? Why have you... That's mad.
In a bid to make amends, he posted an image of the spectacular cartwheel galaxy, assuring followers that this time the photo was genuine. So he made up for it. In the end, he made up for his sausage-related banter.
Okay, now.
Yeah. Then I saw this fact check, right? You know I love a good fact check. Known for that. Check this one out. Absolute madness. Okay. This is on USA Today. Fact check. Scientists at CERN are not opening a portal to hell. You'll be pleased to know. You'll be pleased to know. You'll be pleased to know that fucking Large Hadron Super Collider, yeah, they're not opening a portal to hell, Sam. Now that's...
I mean, there is a very small chance that they open a black hole, right? Depending on what they do it. I remember that was the whole talk when it first happened. There was like a 0.00001% chance it could make a black hole.
Yeah, but I've heard people say all this crazy shit. It was like, you have to understand why I'm always skeptical, like, because the whole point of this little segment of the show is, I'm very much in line with Etienne Klein, like scientific reporting, like journalism sucks ass. I won't get into that on this podcast. I won't pollute it with that. But the way they handle scientific reporting in the mainstream media, it's no better than if it was like you or me down a pub after 10 pints trying to explain astrophysics to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we might understand some of the broad, aspects of it, but we're not fully qualified scientists. And so what always ends up happening is, like, take for example, because I'm obviously old enough to remember when the millennium bug was going to literally, I mean, we'll have to do an episode of that, like a retrospective. I
don't even get, you're on about like fucking Y2K, right? The year 2000.
Yeah, Y2K, yeah.
Where they thought all the computer systems were going to fail because it was going from 1999
just because of the clock on all the operating systems, yeah.
Why would that?
Mate, I shit you not. If you watched the news at that time, you would have thought your house was going to come to life and kill you. Like, it was so insane.
I assume this wasn't tech companies, right? Tech companies were coming out and saying, "Yep, it's going to shut the world down." Surely they come out and said, "We did account for calendars."
I mean, some operating systems actually hadn't, and this was the thing. They were going to have to roll out like huge new updates, and it was like apparently.
How do you not account for like 10 years in the future?
Listen,
you know what I mean? It's not like we had computers in 1836 and we didn't account for it.
Yeah.
The computer came out in 94 and they hadn't accounted for 2000.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wild one, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I was there. I was like, I think we're gonna be all right, guys. Trust me. I think we're gonna be okay. But like, there was some like legitimate angst and legitimate fears around the fucking millennium bug, and like some of the reports I saw at that time were just insane, because what they would do is they would get like one computer scientist, right, and they would say something like, well, obviously if the operating system were to fail, right, if it was to get a critical error, then this thing would happen. And then the news would go, Y2K bug will make thing happen. And that's where you end up, right?
But what can you remember an example of what they thought?
Planes falling out of the sky. Literally couldn't happen in any way, shape, or form. Hang on, let me show you.
Why?
The
autopilot doesn't run on a clock, but the autopilot runs on some sort of GPS, like, and an altimeter system, surely.
Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Yeah. Storycast 21, planes falling out the sky and nuclear reactors shutting down. How the Y2K bug spread fear across the world. It was a legit thing people thought was going to happen. Like I'm like you, mate. I don't fucking know why anyone would fucking assume that like you're just on a plane, and it's like 10, 9, 8. You're spending New Year's Eve on a flight. You're already having a bad time. Yay! And then it's just, unfortunately, all operating systems have shut down, including the engines. There's no manual override. We're going down. Smoke them if you got them.
Couldn't they have just reset the calendar to 91 and gone again? Like, obviously, the days would be out, but the time's the same. So that's the most important thing. If it's in like a nuclear reactor and you need it to shut off on Sundays for whatever, then you just change it to what a new Sunday is, surely.
But mate, honestly, people were going fucking mental. There was like, as you can see here as well, they were saying, maximum security prisons, all the locks will open. That was another one. That was another like mad fear, like
time expired.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There is no more time. We exist outside of time. Therefore, sentences meaningless. Click, and all the prisoners were gonna get out and kill us all while in our beds. Like, come up and shank us all. It was madness. It was madness. It was weird as well because I just at the time that was happening, I was like the editor of a magazine, and I remember like just being like blown away by the media. It's probably the first thing that really got me dialed in on fear mongering as a concept in the media. Because I'm studying it. I'm editing a magazine and I'm watching the news, and it was just it was unbelievable. And again, it's not just the fear mongering as a mechanic, as a means to get you hooked into the media, but also as well, all of it predicated on ignorance, right? All of it, just literally like, we asked the computer scientist, is this disaster theoretically possible? And they said, yeah, it's theoretically possible. There you go, and boom, and that's often what they go with. It's the same, you probably read all them studies, right? Like study shows, and it'll be like study shows actually burnt bacon cures cancer, and you'll be like, what the fuck? And it'll be like they've done some study to see if carcinogens actually are as bad as what they say they are, and then or actually the findings are inconclusive, or as an aberration in this non-double-blind peer-reviewed paper from a college. Actually, the test subjects got cancer less, and then that's the lurid headline. Cures doesn't cure it. What the fuck are you talking about? They do shit like that all the time with like wonder drugs, right? Wonder drug is another word you'll see all the time in like newspapers. Wonder drug, and it'll be like, it's done its first clinical trial in rats, and it showed a marginal uptick. There's like a long way to go. It's not a fucking wonder drug yet, and so scientific reporting is a nightmare. Now, why USA Today took it upon themselves to fact check this entire write-up? It's like, don't get me wrong, they must have a sense of humor about it, but it's just so mental. It's just such a mental thing to write down. Right, scientists at CERN are not opening a portal to hell. The claim: scientists at CERN are communicating with demonic entities and are opening a portal to hell. Have you ever seen that claimed anywhere?
Nah.
Because apparently,
have you heard about opening a portal to another universe or a black hole? Have you heard that? Like,
yeah, I'm on that multiverse shit.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Because I watched this is a while back now. I watched the Joe Rogan podcast where he had the leading the scientist. Oh, what's his name now?
Bob Lazar?
No, not him. The one who's the leading authority on magic mushrooms.
Oh,
is it Sam Gallet? It's something like that.
Can't remember.
But anyway, basically, like, he's written every book imaginable on. If you have a book that's like explaining all the different genus of psilocybin mushrooms, it's him who wrote it. And he was on a Joe Rogan podcast, and he said he took mushrooms one time and went. And keep in mind, he's like a 65-year-old scientist or something, and so who was an expert in his field, an expert in his field. But obviously, for research purposes, he was eating mushrooms. And he said like, he doesn't give a fuck. He says, I don't care if people think I'm like a nutcase or I've took too many drugs or whatever, but I believe I went into the multiverse. And he told this story about him and his friends discovered this like outbreak of magic mushrooms, right? And it was like literally just round the corner from a police station. And it had happened on a mulch pile,
right?
Like that in just like a disused yard, right? And it was all like trash everywhere and everything. But they had this like super bloom, like tens of thousands of this. And the mad thing was, it wasn't even a type of magic mushroom that had been discovered before. They'd known it had existed for like 3 years, but they'd never seen a bloom in this like quantity, and it had never been studied. So not only did they find next to a police station all these magic mushrooms, it was also like a new genus of magic mushroom that they hadn't sort of what's the term, classified, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they went there in the dead of night, got all the mushrooms, and then they weren't as potent as normal mushrooms, the standard ones. They were about a fifth of the dose, so they had to take big doses to get to trip, right? And so he said they made these huge like mushroom smoothies, which were like
sounds
gross.
rancid.
Oh yeah, I mean, for those who've never done mushrooms, like there's the tea is the best way to go generally.
Imagine a mushroom with that celery aftertaste, but that aftertaste 10 times worse.
And mate, and if they've been dried out a while, they get that. It's like the blue cheese taste.
Yeah, it's
like a funk.
It's basically, it tastes like aftershave to me, but that's what they taste like to me.
Yeah. So they really are to get down, and psilocybin makes you nauseous anyway, as most psychedelics do. Anyway, so they made these massive smoothies and like they choked them down, and then he said he sat there. And he had a great trip and bonded with all his fellow scientists, fully loved up out of his mind. And then he went to bed and he was lying there. And, you when you close your eyes don't really close. You just see everything and all the colours and the vast expanse of the universe. And he just fucking out of it. And he said he had a vision while he was like tripping. And it was like, he said he saw like hundreds of like dead cows in a field. Hundreds of dead cows in a field. And he couldn't explain why would all these cows be dead in the field? Like, why did I see that? So next day he wakes up, he's like coming down. He told them all, I had this like mad vision. It was super real. It was like a lucid dream, and there was all these dead cows in a field, And the only thing I can think of, because this was like the late 70s, said the only thing I can think of is that it's nuclear war. We've got Reagan in the White House, fundamentalist Christian type. It's going to be a nuclear war, so the world's going to end. And they were going, well, when was it in your vision, And he said, oh, it's like I think it must be next weekend. He just said arbitrarily.
Yeah, why?
So they were all, I don't know. So they were just joking, right? And they marked it on the calendar and said, oh, he says the world's going to end on this date, And so anyway, while they were waiting for the world to end, there was like an extreme adverse like weather thing that happened while they were there, and it was rain, like loads and loads of rain. All the flood banks had popped, and so he got stranded at his house, for like a couple of days. You couldn't take the car out or nothing. Water everywhere's flooded. Anyway, so after 2 days, he came out of his house and he was walking down, past the fields and everything where he lived. And one of the flood banks had gone into a cattle field, and all the cows had died, and there was hundreds of dead cows in the field. And he says,
I'm not impressed, but
he said he thinks he went into like a multiverse situation where there's like a time dilation thing occurred when he got to see like the time folded, and he got to see like a glimpse of the
he was
future.
just gangster tripping, but and saw a load of dead shit in the field, and then it just so happened coincidentally that there was a flood and a load of cows died.
Who knows, man?
That's on the level of like religious people saying that, I was given a miracle, I prayed for ice cream the next day, I found £5. Yeah, exactly. So it's one of them to me, but I give our no credence.
It's a bit specific, like.
Nah, it's not, but fucking floods happen all the time. Cows? Yeah, but he doesn't even know, but I bet he probably saw dead everything, but he was so gangster tripping. He just said, I remember dead cows. Yeah, you probably saw dead everything, but there's probably fields of dead everything. You were just gangster tripping, but you had a creepy trip that you thought everything in the world had ended, and it just so happened. And also, if it's around the corner from him, that means he sees those cows all the time. So that's probably why he saw them. He always sees those cows in his mind. Oh my God, the cows are dead.
I never thought you would denounce mushrooms not being silly, the secret of time travel.
I mean, I'm not denouncing it, but I'm not taking that ain't evidence. Like one guy saying he dreamed of dead cows.
Yeah, no. Listen, Sam, I trust the science, and I would need a bit more than that.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, back to the demons. So apparently, it was some woman on a TikTok video, and she said, "If y'all don't know about CERN."
Jesus.
That buckled me right out the gate. If y'all don't know about CERN, it's a demonic evil machine that opens up portals to other dimensions, like hell and other spiritual worlds, but not heaven or the bosom of Abraham. And it brings in demons and wicked spirits and high evil principalities.
High evil principalities.
Now, why is a mainstream media publication fact-checking one woman on TikTok? But here's the thing, like
it must have popped off on TikTok. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, but like, listen, though, listen. They don't look. Look what they say here. The similar posts have amassed hundreds of interactions on Facebook and Twitter, but the claim is baseless.
No shit.
I mean, yeah, there is no evidence scientists at CERN are engaged in anything other than scientific-related activities.
Right, this article is making me believe it more than if I just seen it. But the
know.
way they're addressing it is so strange.
Touchy, aren't you?
Yeah,
a bit touchy, aren't you? Like, just let it slide. You
yeah,
why are you let it slide. It's
so
one mad
serious?
woman on TikTok. Like, yeah, exactly.
There is no evidence to indicate anything other than scientific experiments.
No, but look, they put this bit in bold. Physics experts told USA Today scientists use the Large Hadron Collider to collide particles at very high energies so they can study matter.
Yeah.
US and then right, there's a headline: Collider can't open portals. Right? There is no truth to the claim that scientists at CERN are communicating with demonic entities and using the collider to open up a portal to hell. Dejan Stojkovic, a physics professor at the University of Buffalo, told USA Today in an email. To create a black hole or a wormhole, even microscopic ones, with our current technology, in the context of our standard theories of gravity, we would need an accelerator as big as the whole universe, Stojkovic said. So there is no chance whatsoever to create such a portal at the Large Hadron Collider.
See, I'm still believing the old myth, but with the old 0.00001.
There you go. I knew it would be wrong. It's always wrong.
No.
Since these are previously unexplored energies in a controlled environment, we might expect production of some new elementary particles that we did not know if they existed. However, these are microscopic particles, so there is no chance such a portal would open.
I don't think we say no chance, but I mean, I'm not a scientist. I do respect that you're probably in the Large Hadron Collider. I'm not. But you just said there's a chance we discover things that we didn't even know exist. So if you don't know they exist, how do you know what they do? But let's be real. It's not no chance, is it? There isn't no chance. It's a little bit of a chance, like.
Professor Davies refutes Professor Stojkovic's theory. And then they asked another one, right? They've gone all in on this. Like, they've hit up every physicist in America saying, there's not really, can you tell us that there's no hell portals at CERN, please? Right. Joshua Ruderman, associate professor of physics at New York, told USA Today in an email, the collider is essentially a particle creation machine and a particle discover machine. For example, in 2012, the collider made headlines after discovering the Higgs boson particle, which was a finding key to understanding the creation of the universe. Our rating, false.
Look at what they actually do, a write-up of what we believe it is false. There is no evidence that they are communicating with demonic entities and opening a portal to hell. So I'm glad you've done it for me, but I am going to research now.
It's so like, what? This is how busted media is, mate. Like, you're fact checking a crazy woman on TikTok. Like, here's the other thing I heard as well. They should have fact checked this one. Nah, I noticed they didn't. Must be true then, eh? Right? That's the problem of fact checking. You know, if you don't fact check everything that's wrong, then you know. Well, what about the ones you don't? Are they right? See the problem? Anyway, there was another theory that actually every time they spin the Hadron Super Collider thing, it puts us in an alternate timeline and we don't know about it.
Yeah, and we're stuck. I just remembered I just got a book off my thing, which this might mean I'm a part of fucking Big Demon, but I've got a book called Neutrino, which is written by Frank Claus, OBE, who is a professor of physics of Oxford. Hang on, let me get to it. And he also the head of theoretical physics division at the laboratory and head of communications and public educations at CERN. So I've been brainwashed, mate. Maybe I've just been in on the information too early and they brainwashed me to see the truth. But I remember when did I get this book? I remember reading this when I was a kid, so it must have been outrageous. But yeah, this is all about the Hadron Collider and what they initially thought they could discover.
Yeah, maybe. Big Demon.
Big Demon, mate. They've got me in early.
Oh, fuck me, Big Demon. All right then. Well, I'll end on one. We'll end this episode on a shocking bombshell, Sam. This will blow your mind. More science news. This was the CNN report. It's going to shock you. Their findings. This was the study that apparently legalizing recreational cannabis increases its use. Research
No shit.
Can you even believe they bothered when you could have given me a 10 bag and I'd have told you this. Like, you didn't have to do a study on it. What are you talking about? They literally did a study. People in the US states that legalized recreational cannabis use it 20% more frequently than those in states that didn't legalize it. A study published Thursday in the Journal of Addiction has suggested. Yeah, obviously. Because most people don't want to break the law.
Yeah, and also
right?
I'd assume, how are they getting the numbers? Because is it just more people are admitting to it now that it's legal? Like maybe they didn't want to tell you when it was illegal.
I'm telling you, scientific report, and I guarantee that study's like just, fraught with all sorts of like caveats. Because, they're good at their end, the scientists and the people doing
They'll list every
and
bias and every.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all there, and look, it's got fucking formulas and all sorts on it. I don't even know what that means. Like, as soon as you start putting letters next to numbers, my fucking eyes, file not fucking found, you know what I mean? Well, at the end of the day, like, fucking obviously there's going to be loads of biases, and this is not going to be an accurate number for the following reasons. They list it all. CNN just coming straight out here, like, yeah, do you know if you don't go to prison for an unreasonably long time for smoking a plant, more people might try smoking that plant. Yeah, fuck me. You've cracked the case, Serpico. Well done. Like. So there you go. That's it, Sam. That's all the news.